our little cats. Lucky is in English class, and his teacher is teaching him poetry, telling him how the color of the wall is actually some sort of hidden narrative for the character's backstory. Lucky is extremely poor. We've all been in this English class before, listening to the teacher go on and on about some seemingly insignificant detail that doesn't even matter, trying to find the hidden emotion behind the color of the main character's shirt. It's funny to criticize why literature has to be so complex. Why can't we just take it at face value? Maybe the curtains were just blue. Now, I'm not going to stand on a high horse and say, I actually quite prefer the intricacies of language in my education. No, I've also found myself groaning in class as the teacher continues to talk about something that is obviously way too much of a far stretch. But that's the problem. We are all, unfortunately, close to being functionally illiterate. We can read things, we can spell words out, maybe we can understand them, but we can't properly interpret or analyze what we are reading. We can't draw huge conclusions from small pieces of text, or work out reasoning that wasn't already given to us. The International Institute of Statistical Data and Research says that the critical thinking scores among first-year college students have reduced by 22% from 2010 to 2025. It's not that we don't have the ability to think. We simply don't want to. And I mean, how can we? Anytime we see something, we think about it for a millisecond and then cut off that thought by saying, maybe it's not that deep. We can't even think about something for more than a second without reaching for a distraction. Maybe mom was right. It really was the phone. But this lack of critical thinking extends beyond just math and science. I'm going to show you two artworks. And in your head, think about which one you prefer the most. This one or this one? Most of you probably prefer this one. And if you say the other one, you're lying. Even Lucky prefers this one. In fact, he's laughing at the other one. Obviously, you'd prefer this one. It is beautiful. It is intricate. It is everything art is meant to be. And this one is just there. This artwork comes under what we all know as modern art. The same genre of art that has this, and infamously this. Modern art has come under great scrutiny nowadays. And you see a bunch of videos of people going to museums and standing in front of paintings they think they could recreate. But is art really about what you can recreate? I'm going to show you an artwork, and you're going to raise your hand if you think you can recreate it. Okay? First one, who all think you can recreate this artwork? What about this one? Okay, and a plain wall of blue. Obviously you can. How are any of these supposed to be hard to make? But the first two drawings that you saw are actually works of a man called Joseph Albers, and he helped create the Jezot principle. The Jezot principle is what helped us realize how our brain processes information, and it even helped contribute to color theory. You know that image on the internet where people cannot decide if the dress is black and blue or white and gold? All of that ties back to his works. And the third one? It was an artwork created by a man called Eve Klein. And that blue color you saw, that color did not exist in paint until that man made it. Modern art is easy to make fun of because it's not as easy to understand as the other one. It's not as beautiful, it's not as intricate, it's not like Renaissance paintings where you can see each and every minor detail on the artist's face. But it's still extremely important because to the average person, modern art is just something that's easy to recreate. They don't care about the emotion or the meaning beyond and behind the art. Yes, modern art, maybe, you might be able to make it. But I am 100% original thought behind any of those drawings that we saw today. Let's have one more activity. I'm sure you can see the abstract art before me. Take a few seconds to think about what this art could possibly be. I know it's a disaster, I know it's really messy, but don't forget, modern art really has value. Alright, that was something my friend made in 5 minutes to test his Apple pencil. I'm sure you can tell the difference between actual modern art and what people claim modern art to be. They might tell you you can make modern art in 5 minutes, but the truth is that you can't. Modern art is the perfect representation of modern day anti-intellectualism. No one cares to think beyond what they're told. They just want their caveman brains to be happy with nice and pretty. Isn't that what all art is? But beyond just the fact that this isn't really modern art, a lot of you must still have thought of some sort of conclusion in your head. You looked at a piece of artwork that had absolutely no meaning. The creator intended absolutely nothing, yet you still probably saw some value in it. That is what critical thinking means. Coming back to Lucky's English class, to find meaning where there isn't any isn't dependent on whether the creator actually meant for it. Maybe the author did think that the curtains were just blue. But your English teacher saw something there that nobody else was able to see. She found emotions and narratives hidden beyond seemingly insignificant pieces of details. And that's what critical thinking is. This ability of ours to reason and conclude forms the basis of how we analyze all the information we receive. It forms the basis on how we determine whether the information we see is accurate or inaccurate. It also determines the opinions we form from that information. The second we lose the ability to conclude and reason, we become nothing more than mindless bots that believe everything that is told to them. When we think about critical thinking, most people think it's just thinking a lot. But critical thinking isn't about whether you have 100 thoughts per minute or 1 thought per sometimes. It's also not dependent about how many of those thoughts could solve world hunger or rewrite history. No, critical thinking is simply what you do with the information at hand, the conclusion you draw to solve the problem in front of you. But it's also dependent on whether we try to think at all. We are all afraid of clicking on the second page of a Google article, and we give up after 5 links. We waste millions of watts of power searching up on ChatGPT, hey, what's a cool activity I can do in Dera this evening? In fact, Lucky is falling for AI slop as we speak. All of this adds to the statistic that I mentioned earlier. Don't you miss being able to go on pages and forums and just learn random things you didn't think of before? Don't you miss being able to sit down and think solely for the ability to think? Anti-intellectualism may mean nothing to you, so what we come to conclude was a big problem. But the thing is, modern day democracy works on one important assumption, that all its voters are making informed decisions. The second all the voters mindlessly believe everything that they're told, we live in a monarchy. Anti-intellectualism makes you easy prey. It is what dictators and fascist leaders have preyed on for years. People easily believing everything that they hear. Do you truly question all the values that you hold here? You ask why you consider some things acceptable and the other things not. Not just the surface level beliefs, even the beliefs that you've held dear for you for so long. Because the second you start accepting the answer, oh, because it's wrong or it's disgusting, you continue to fall for the mindset that has been used to discriminate against people for millions of years. Sexism, racism, classism, casteism, all mindsets that were perpetuated solely through the idea of that's just how it is. What you believe in obviously forms your beliefs, and these beliefs form your decisions. Your decisions affect not only your life, but the lives of everybody around you. I'm sure you'd believe a statistic just because it looks really nice it's presented in a pretty manner. When was the last time you actually fact-checked something? In fact, you know the 22% statistic I mentioned? I made that up. The International Institute of Statistical Data and Research doesn't even exist. The 22% statistic, all false. If I, a 16-year-old girl, could lie to you, what makes you believe that you would be able to spot a lie coming from someone with actual credentials, an actual reputation, and an actual reason to lie? You are not immune to propaganda. You are not immune to misinformation. And the only thing protecting you is your ability to think critically. If you put a cheetah and a human in a race of 100 meters, the human would win. Sorry, the cheetah would win, obviously. But in 50 kilometers, the human would win. Because humans have intelligence and endurance, and that's what helps them make logical decisions. The second you stop thinking, you become nothing more than a hamster running on a wheel. So, the ability to think critically is obviously extremely important for all of mankind, because intelligence and curiosity will forever be the greatest weapons humanity will ever have. Intelligence comes from original thought comes from questions, and questions come from curiosity. And if curiosity killed the cat, then that cat is perfectly alive and healthy today. But hey, maybe it wasn't that deep after all. Thank you.